Hello and welcome to the UnDateable Me Podcast. I am Jimmy Lee Lard, the Sock Snob, and this is season 2 of our weekly show that deals with the struggles of relationships and dating. But we do not just talk about the problems. This is a journey to find solutions, and we do it in a very entertaining way. And when I say entertaining, Holly is dressed like a showgirl over here.
Hey.
She's giving showgirl. Holly got, I would say, her tatas out. But I think Holly got everything out. I think Holly's outfit is made for summer.
We had to go hard for season 2.
Oh, that's right.
2.
All right, Met Gala up in here. You know. We also take an opportunity to be vulnerable as well. And in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about the trouble with being single. Are you bringing single habits into your relationship? Let's go. All righty then. So before we go another further, I have to introduce or reintroduce Holly the Beamer.
Yay.
You know, she's back with us once again.
Thank
It's
you.
not like I've ever done the show without you, so I don't even know why I
Appreciate
say
that.
Right. So, Holly is the Beamer. You know, she's a mother, she's a wife, and I kind of brought her in because, well, I'll tell you why I brought her in a minute. I just want to refresh you in case you didn't catch season 1 or in case you've forgotten sort of why we are here. So this is a show about dating struggles. Now, Holly ain't got to worry about that because Holly is married. But me, on the other hand, I'm an old, almost 50-year-old man. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather.
The Jimmy.
And I'm gay. Gay as hell. So, and I've been struggling with dating.
I wonder why.
You know, I've been single for a very long time, so this particular topic today is going to be very apropos. But I thought I was a catch. You know, I had my own little house, had a good job, 6 figures. I think I'm a good person. I'm nice to everybody. Nice little car and all of that. Just an all-around nice guy, I thought. So then I was like, well, why the hell am I struggling with getting into a relationship or whatever, right? So I decided to do this podcast. And I asked Holly to join me because Holly is nosy as hell. This is my sister, y'all.
Hey.
And Holly is nosy as hell, so she's going to get down. She's going to start asking questions that me, being the least nosy person you ever want to meet on the planet, would probably not ask or think to say. I wouldn't think you would want to know certain things. And Holly's going to ask.
Sure am.
So, also, last season, I held back quite a bit.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I really did. You know, when we're telling our stories, sometimes other people are involved. And I was allowing that to not fully tell my story because, you know, I don't want people to be collateral damage and whatever. But this season,
You finna let him have it.
I don't really, listen, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn no more. All right. So I am going to sort of just say what it is this time around, and it's not my intention to hurt anybody's feelings, but and that's what I was struggling with, because I think about it, I was like, but if bad stuff comes out, you did it.
Right.
So why do I care about, you know what I mean?
It's your experience.
Right. I'm defending exes. The fuck?
Mm.
So we're not going to do that this season. We're going to go ahead. But ultimately, before we get into today's topic, just to remind everybody sort of, why we're here. If you're struggling like me, if you can't find a good man or a woman, or you're tired of the one you got, if you feel like there's no more good men's out there, or wondering why all these other hoes out here winning and you not. So, am I too big, too old, too accomplished? Am I too picky? Am I too whatever? You know what I mean? Whatever it is, we're going to get to it. You have come to the right place for us to dig into that. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So in today's topic, Holly, I want to talk about the trouble with being single. And ultimately, I'll start with two questions. Basically, well, I'll start with the one, and it'll ease into the second one. So, what do we enjoy about being single? Now, like I said, you've been out the game for a minute, but I would like to ask you, just your perspective, what did you enjoy about being single when you were single?
I think for me, it was like the attention.
Okay.
Oh, I can have this person if I want to. I can meet up with this person. They usually say girls got, a nigga that's going to buy them some food, a nigga that's going to take them out, a nigga that's going to take them on a trip, So
Okay.
I think it's the variety. It's good size, but it's bad size too, so.
Yeah. Okay, so that one for me would not work. I am one of those people. I cannot juggle people.
Really?
Or at least I prefer not to. So even if we're not in like if we have kind of the situation I'm in right now. But anyway, if we are
No, this season 2, you said you was going to get at it.
We're going to get to it. Don't worry. We got a lot of season left now. We ain't got to give it all. Find out I'm a hoe in the first episode or something, But kind of the situation I'm in now, where even if we've started something and we're building something,
right,
and we haven't decided what it is yet or put a label on it or things like that, I still treat it as if we have said we're exclusive, we're committed, we're not whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never been one to. I have one of my good girlfriends. I almost said her name. I'll leave her out of this so people won't mess with her. But she is always like, look, date multiple people, until you find out which one of them, is going to work for you. And I just don't have that in me. I've tried to be the hoe, and I just can't.
You know what? I think that, do you think it is just come with age? You be like, look, I ain't got time to be messing with this person this day, and you just be like, fuck it. I'm just going to deal with this one person. But then that's not dating. That's just...
Right. Yeah. I think for me, it's just, I just don't have that energy because I'm good with being single and alone. I can be alone. You know what I mean? For the most part, we'll get into that as well, because there's there's good size and bad size to it. But I think that I just don't have that energy to, call this one on Tuesday and have this one on the weekend or whatever and figure it out as we go. That's just not my spirit.
Not in the same day? You can't talk to everybody in the same day? Send out a group? Good morning,
you
Kings.
so silly.
Message.
You so silly. Nope, not me. I don't know. It's just not a thing for me. So you saying the attention, so that for me would not be one. But one thing that would, I think, is a good thing that I enjoy about being single is independence.
Oh,
you know, when you're married, and you know this, or when you're, coupled up, you have to consider the other person's thoughts and feelings when you do shit. You have to, not that you have to necessarily ask permission to do stuff all the time, but you just can't go out and make decisions on your own that affect the household like I can.
I need to do better at that.
And if you guys don't recall, my brother Jordan is engineering this session, so he's sitting over here shaking his head like, But, it's you have to consider, like I said, when it comes down to things, I can't just paint the house purple. Not that I would want to. But I can't just do that without saying, hey, babe, you know what I'm thinking about? Painting the living room purple or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think it depends on who you with too.
Yeah.
Because so like the example you just gave, like my friend, she wanted to like change her living space or whatever, like the color of the couch or I can't remember what it was. And her boyfriend was like, no, you're not doing that color. But if like I was to do that, Jordan would walk in and be like, oh, all right. He probably say something, but wouldn't really care.
Right. And my son is kind of like that too. He who lives with me, and I would have changed something in the house, and 8 weeks later, and I'm talking about he would walk past it every day, and then he'll go, oh, when did we get that? Or whatever. And you'd be like, what the fuck? But when he walks outside the house, he's an original Chicago dude, gonna notice everything, So I just don't get that. So I think, that was probably a bad example, maybe. But again, I think you have to consider the other person when you're in a relationship. And as a single person, I don't have to do that. Another thing, if my friend, I almost said her name again. If my friend calls me up and says, hey, I'm going to Napa next week. You want to go? I can just say, yeah, and up and go. You know what I mean? Whereas be like, hey, babe, Shirley called. Her name is not Shirley. I just made it Shirley since I said shh earlier. So Shirley says I don't have to do that. I can just up and go. And I ain't got to consult with nobody. I ain't got to, let anybody know. I just hit the streets. These airplane streets. But yeah, so, and you know what I just thought about with the house. So I said, I'm going to keep it real this season. When it comes down to decisions about the house, I have always preferred, I've never had anybody live with me, but I would rather somebody move into my space than us getting a space together, because I was dating a particular person that and the taste different. I prefer more of a
soulful,
luxe,
elegant,
sophisticated style, He liked all that gaudy shit. Like, he would have had gold this and, just over the top.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's cute. And you really be like, that shit tacky as hell, but you don't want to tell them.
Yeah.
And I just don't need that in my life. I would prefer to have or date somebody who don't care what I do with the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just throwing it out there. But yeah, I dated that person. What else? What do you enjoy about being single?
The getting ready. Speaking for like girls, like when you finna go out with somebody or go on a date, you're like, ooh, let me go get me an outfit. Let me make sure I look cute. That excitement.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of carry on to like, even in the marriage too, where they say like, have date night, be excited, or, like keep your looks up and things like that.
That said, do you get excited when you get dressed now with Jordan, or you just be like, let me put these granny panties on and let me just whatever?
No,
does Jordan get this when y'all go out?
Baby, every single time.
Okay, all right. I ain't mad at it. Listen.
I got to keep my man.
If I had your body, well, not your body, but if I had the body I had when I was 22, bitch couldn't tell me nothing.
Just had that mindset.
Well, I do.
There
I do.
Go.
And listen, I tell people, yeah, I'd like to be smaller, but I'm not. So you can't go to the store and trade in bodies. So this the body you getting. And don't get me wrong. Big boy got some skills over here, but this the body you getting. So I hope you like it. Hope you like Big Luther vibes, because that's what the fuck you kidding. You know, another thing that I like about being single is I take up all the space. The closets, and don't get me wrong.
Oh, your space.
Oh, yes. And I fully live in my space. You know, when you have to compromise, just like even if we were talking about furniture, you know, I've known people, ladies who've had these beautiful living rooms, and then you see this ugly beat up sofa, and you're like, yeah, that's Bob's. He had it in college, and he just won't let me get rid of it. Bob will find that thing in the trash fooling with me.
Is that did Black people do that?
I think so. Some of them, yeah. I don't think there's as much difference between black, white, purple, brown, yellow as we make it out. It'd be the same stuff, you know?
Okay.
So sometimes, because my godmother was like that, there was stuff that my godfather had, and she would just roll her eyes like, I wish you would just throw it away. I wish you would just throw it away, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. But now don't get me wrong. My closet is set up in such a way that I can easily make room for somebody else.
Right.
You know, my dresser drawers, I can easily make room for somebody else. But for the moment, I just take up all the space, and I'm good with that.
So you don't mind making space for others?
I do not.
You just don't want to.
But while I'm here by myself, then hey,
right?
Why would I have to?
I understand that.
Yeah.
And I just want to make something clear before people be like, oh, they some hoes. Dating and fucking everybody are two different things.
Absolutely. We established that last season. So
yes. You can date multiple people and not be fucking none of them.
Yes, because I'm a perfect angel.
Me too.
Except
thank you.
Whatever, you know, not you, but me. So another thing I enjoy about being single is that my eyes can wander if I want to. If I'm sitting at a restaurant, a sidewalk cafe, and I see a big old booty walk by, I can look at it. When I'm in a relationship, I would find it disrespectful to do that to somebody else. However, but here's the funny thing. In my case, it would be another dude. I actually don't have a problem with him looking. No, I don't give a damn.
I wish a motherfucker would.
Oh, did I just knock your mic off? I'm sorry. Say that. Well, actually, don't say it again. I accidentally knocked Holly's mic off, and we ain't gonna ever get no sponsorship around here, because if you heard what the hell she said, you know, but basically she wish a MFer would, and by MFer she means Jordan. But no, I actually don't have a problem, because I'd be like, yeah, I saw it too. What did you see that? You know, but
you get a lot of couples like that. I see a lot of couples, they both be like,
yeah, because my thing is this. You can look at what just walked by, but you with me. So I don't care, you know. And people, you know, are you supposed to fight with your eyes? You see somebody who's attractive. Now, I'm good with it because I'm not a big physical person anyway.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, if a very attractive person with a big old bee sting back there walks by, then, you know, it's hard to not acknowledge it. Right. But I'm okay. I can definitely act like I didn't see it at all, because I'm perfectly good with that. Right. And, you know, for me, well, anyway, I'll leave it at that. So
I don't think I ever had that problem. I don't know. I guess like when I'm with somebody, I'm with them. Now, I don't know if I was dating or if I was single.
But see, you different. Cute. You mean as far as you looking or them looking?
Like
oh, gotcha. Looking. Oh, yeah. I think it happens less with women anyway. I think it's more men. Yeah. And like I said, I don't do it a lot either. So,
but I've seen couples, like I've been in a room with couples, and they nigga look, and I just be like,
right. Oh, wait.
I feel some type of way for them.
I don't even know if I should say this, but because this is a family situation, I'll just say that I had a party once, and you were actually there, somebody's husband started flirting with one of my friends at the party with their wife there. Now, granted, she was like, what the hell? And walked away or whatever. But, you know, people can be bold and emblazoned, I guess.
So when does that? So allowing that other person to look and be like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
No,
like,
that crosses the line.
Okay,
That's definitely out of the question. I'm sorry. I would tear this hoe up. So I would have tore that backyard up. All right. Well, what things do we hate about being? So what did you hate about being single when you were single?
I'm a relationship girly.
I know that's right.
I am just like, I will admit, I cannot be by myself. I don't want to be by myself.
Mhm.
I don't want to do no hard labor. I don't want to spend my own money.
Oh.
I don't want to pay for my own trips. I don't
Mhm.
want to do none of that. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, you do have certain benefits that come with being single.
Mhm.
But that part where like, if you're not sleeping with people that you dating with, it's like you going home and you like, oh my God.
Yeah. You said there are benefits that come with being in a relationship, like what?
Having somebody to come home to,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, it's small stuff
Yeah.
that I think that like we take for granted.
Yeah, that is one of my biggest challenges with being single. Now, I am, I go through long stretches of being single or whatever, but I will say the one thing that kind of bothers me is the loneliness of it all. Because for me, just in my life right now, I'm alone the majority of the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm here at the house by myself. I may see my son as he's leaving out for work, and when he comes home, it may not even total 5 minutes a day. On his off days, of course, I'll see him. But otherwise, it's just me or whatever. So the loneliness of it. And, I think we get to a point where, like for me, I don't feel loved. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm loved. I know there are people who love me, but I'm nobody's priority.
You want to be loved by somebody that's sticking you down.
When you have a partner, you might be their number one. Even kids, somebody or parents or vice versa, whatever. Everybody seems to be has you're number one in somebody's life.
Right.
And I don't have that as a single person. I'm getting there now, but I don't have that as a single person. So it's that loneliness factor. And like I said, not feeling love necessarily. And that's what one of those things that sort of spurred, me to do this podcast in the first place. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people revert back to their exes or revert back to people that's not good for them because of the loneliness.
And it's going to be, we've talked about that, the convenience of, it takes work to meet somebody new and put in the work to get to know them and all of that. And nostalgia is something else. You will forget about all the bad stuff. And remember that one time, remember when we had got them matching outfits and we went to Six Flags or whatever.
It's that feeling.
Right.
That human contact.
And then next thing you know, you texting, hey, big head, how you doing? Like, yeah.
What you doing?
Right.
You miss me?
Right.
You miss me?
I bet your new girl ain't blah, blah. What it's like all that. So, yeah, so it's easy for that. You know what another benefit is? I think the easiest way to say it is partnership. I like the idea of having a partner in just life. We bring different things into a relationship, right?
Right.
I've never wanted anybody for their money or anything like that. But baby, if you can fix some plumbing, if you can...
Both plumbing.
Right. Oh, wow. Then there's that. And then... I've never been in this situation, but going joint on bills and stuff like that, I've never had that.
What?
Ever. I've always, I've lived where I lived, they've lived where they've lived or whatever, so I've never experienced that. Somebody talking about some, here's my money for the whatever. Say what? Or we got a joint account that, we pay stuff out of. What? They do that? So, so I've never experienced that. I want to know what that'd be like.
No.
So
it'd be nice.
It'd be nice. Okay, yes. Because I would love it. But yeah, so I think that is something I would want to try one day.
You're going to get it.
I think so. Now, how does all the stuff we were talking about we enjoy, how then does that play into your life when you have a person who, I mean, you're in a relationship now and it's hard to let go of the single stuff. You know what I mean? Making decisions on your own, and they sitting there like, wait. You going where? You wasn't gonna let me know? Oh shit.
I'm still guilty of that.
Okay. Or, you just go out to make, babe, I went at, that Mercedes we were looking at?
Not you making big financial
right, because that's what I've been doing, you know. So when I think it becomes a problem when you start doing that. So I just think here is the solution. And this is the solution to a lot of stuff. Just being more cognizant of the other person.
I don't think people have those conversations though, because if you are single for so long, or if you got one person that's been single for so long and somebody who is used to being in a relationship, and then they get together, they have different outlooks on things.
Oh yeah,
because you don't think to be like, oh damn, I ain't even asked, could I go over here?
Right.
It's more of just like the way you're used to things.
Yeah, and with my current situation, and it's not, we figuring things out, exploring whatever, right? But what happens when you have two people who are used to being single or have been single for a long time, both very independent? One other issue is when I was talking about partnership, one thing I had I'm probably telling too much. This relationship finna be gone. He gonna like, you got all my shit out on the internet, interwebs. But I think it's difficult for him to ask for help when he actually needs it, because he's so used to doing stuff on his own. Whereas I'm like, dude, I could have helped you with that. That wasn't anything big, You got
to start. What is the name of it? You just gonna have to start doing it and being like, oh, I did such and such for you, so they can probably get used to
that. Happened. Let me tell you. So this happened. What you're saying was when, and one of my exes actually said, that's when I knew you was the one. we had gone to New York and we flew out separately. It was a work trip for him. It was just vacation for me. And when I tell you, we did New York. We did everything. It was a wonderful trip, right? And we get ready to go, and I decided I was going to fly back with him. And I'm going to say this: I'm not looking down my nose. I'm not one of those people who look down my noses. I got multiple noses. I said noses. I'm not going to look down my nose at anybody, but there's a particular airline that I don't normally fly.
You could say Spirit.
It was actually Southwest, but you ignorant.
Oh.
I flew Spirit once. I told you that. Mm-hmm. That shit was the crazy. I smelled weed. It was the girl in front of me was braiding hair and pouring liquor out her purse. She had it in her little cosmetic bag.
Oh. Was I on that flight? I don't do that no more. But.
Right. So I did that Spirit, and let me tell you, I had bought a round trip. That round trip, I think, was like $80 or something. I threw the return away. I said, fuck that. So, but no, this was Southwest, which I was never a fan of. Southwest.
They ain't no better.
Okay, good. So we were in New York, and so I decided to fly back with him. Like I said, we flew in separately. Mm-hmm. And then I was going to be flying back with him. And so I bought a ticket for the same flight. Well, we get there and all of a sudden, so there was some sort of issue with Southwest, and the flight canceled, can't get another flight for like 2 or 3 days and all of this stuff. And he was panicking hot. He's at the counter and he's, whatever. And I'm just on my phone, booking us both for a new flight or whatever. And I was like, all right, come on, we're going down to Delta now or whatever.
Oh, not Delta.
And you're so silly. And let me tell you, when we arrived, I had come into the Delta terminal, which is what I was used to at that particular airport. I had never been over to the Southwest side. On the Delta side, you see all these nice restaurants and the nice bars. Baby, I turned that corner where you get to the Southwest side. It was people laying on the floor, people playing music with no headphones, all of that, So, but it was just a different experience. So, and again, I'm not knocking Southwest. I know I'm being funny, but whatever. I said what I said. Okay. So, but he appreciated that I just took, because I don't
Not
do
you hit him with the baby, let me upgrade.
No, I was like, I don't do the drama of, well, what are we going to do? And he was trying to, figure it out. And it was like, we could be we could be walking down a Delta and keep it pushing. So
I know that's right.
But yeah, he was like, that's when I knew that you was the one.
He's a smart man, but a dummy for letting it go.
Well, whatever.
Jimmy, you want to join me and Jordan? I like Delta. Jordan can fix something. Me and you, you already my work husband.
Yeah, but no, it ain't gonna work.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's just not gonna work, baby. I'm sorry. No, you can't cuddle with me. I'd be like, if you don't get your titties off me, your titties off my back. Got my own titties. Get off me. So yeah, but I think that is the trouble with two people who are used to being independent. So you just have to be cognizant of the other person, for one thing. Be intentional about the things you do, and just be considerate.
Yeah.
One thing any relationship I've ever been, I am never I will never do something to intentionally hurt somebody.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I accidentally go buy a Mercedes without consulting you, it truly was an accident. It was not me saying, fuck her. I mean, fuck him.
And that Nissan Altima.
Right. Which I don't think they make those anymore, do they? I don't know.
Nissan
Jordan, do they make Altima still? Okay. I wouldn't know about that. I'm joking, y'all. I'm playing. So, anything to add? I wonder what people think about that. Like I said, the trouble with being independent and all those are good things. But when you start bringing that energy into a relationship, and even like I said, when, I have my space and I can use all of it. Yeah. Well, when you're in a relationship, you got to make room for that other person. And if you can't even physically make room for them, you damn sure can't mentally make room for them in your life.
Mentally, financially, all of that come into play. So that's really big.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm looking for that partnership. So I enjoy being able to, two people able to support each other. Let's go out here and run the world.
Mm-hmm.
We can conquer this hoe.
I know that's right.
So
my favorite thing is the gossip. I'll be like, when you get home,
pillow talk.
Let me tell you.
Oh God, I've never been a gossiper. So
what? Not with your man.
I've always dated people who gossiped. And I would be sitting there like, okay, here we go. I would listen to it. I just ain't got nothing to offer.
Oh, my God. You is Jordan. Jordan don't never had no good tea, y'all. It's so boring.
You would have to specifically ask me a question. But otherwise, I'm not just going, ooh, did you hear what happened to Diane? Yeah, I just, But like I said, if, I'll talk about it with you when you bring it up. But
you're an inch away. But like you say, that's all part of that partnership. And even if it's something small, something big.
Mm-hmm. She likes the gossip. Cool. All right. Well, I don't have anything else to add to this topic. I would just say, as we are trying to improve ourselves and make room for somebody else in our life. Just make sure that we're moving intentionally. We are being considerate of other people's feelings and their input and
their time.
Their time. That and that's very important. So you and literally making room for them in your life. If you can't even do that, then you may as well stay single, because you're going to end up right back there.
Very true.
I'm just saying. So, but that is it for this week's episode. Do not forget to like this, depending on where you're looking at. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, we are at youtube.com and it's Sock Snob Films, and you can just select the podcast tab to find us. You will see all of season 1's episodes and now season 2. And for the rest of you who are joining us on all the podcast platforms, just make sure you subscribe and check us out. All right. So, Holly, I appreciate seeing you again, girl.
Always.
All right, let's get on up out of here.
I see you hanging around, but I don't have much to say to you. Don't know what you're waiting for. Guess you think I'm playing with you. Ever since you walked out my door, I changed the locks on me. There ain't nobody getting I'm doing fine by myself, and I like it. I've been doing things by myself. You should try it. When we was together, I'll admit you had me gone. Now I'm by myself, and it feels good to be alone. Come on. Don't wanna be with you, but I'm gonna be okay. I kinda like myself. I kinda like myself. Don't wanna be with you, but I'm gonna be okay. I kinda like myself. I kinda like myself. I guess you thought that I was gonna be called up crying, waiting for you to rescue me. As a matter of fact, I was the one who said I love you first, but I guess them days are gone.